Hey, welcome everybody. This is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is Christ and Culture Show. Thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast. And folks, I got to start right from the beginning. We've not done the show in like 2 weeks, and it's just because we've been a lot of technical difficulties, and then we were sickness, and we got all kinds of stuff going on. And so I want to apologize early on if you hear scratchy voices or maybe an inadvertent sniffle or something like that. It's because we're pushing through, folks. Like Pastor Tommy was saying, pushing through this whole thing. So I want to welcome you all to Christ and Culture Show. I'm going to go ahead and start our YouTube channel because I know a lot of people are jumping on YouTube lately, and want to encourage you, if you've not watched the show before, go to our YouTube channel, which is Christ and Culture Show. I'm going to switch over that right now. And get in on the conversation. Get in on the conversation, and also send us notes, and maybe even send us something that we can use for the show. Okay. Yep. Oh yeah, we're definitely on right now. Let me turn that down because I can hear myself. Get on the conversation. And there we go. All right. So, as you can see, we actually have the show up. Get in on the conversation. I really encourage you to do that. Or you can write to us at christandcultureshow@gmail.com. It's christandcultureshow@gmail.com. Okay? And so before we get going too much further here, I want to bring on my partner in crime, Pastor Tommy Allums. Pastor Tommy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Pastor Sherman. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. So how are you feeling? Because I have not spoken to you in like forever, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm feeling a whole lot better. I was down probably a good week, but I just kept pushing through because I got to get stuff done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm feeling a lot better now.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad to hear that. I'll tell you. Now, did you get like a flu type thing? Because you were...
I don't get the flu. I haven't had the flu since the late 90s. I'll have to tell you that miraculous story one day. But no, it was a severe cold, possibly COVID. I don't know. But
oh my gosh, yeah. I don't know, yeah. Pastor Tommy, I'd kind of like to have the flu more than COVID. Thinking, Jesus, if I got my druthers, give me the flu more than COVID, because that's it's not fun at all.
I've had some bad flus where you got stuff coming out everywhere. So
sure, I understand. I do. Yeah. Well, good. So you've been keeping busy and so we were talking before we came on the show, and because we've been trying to get together, and once again, one thing or another happened, and you let me know it was your birthday. It was your birthday Sunday.
Yep. It was.
Well, let's all stop right now, you guys. We're going to sing Happy Birthday top. Come on, everybody, get in on this. Everybody here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Pastor Tommy. Happy birthday to you. Come on.
Hey.
There you go. All right, there you go. That's a first for the show. That we're singing Happy Birthday. Well. Now, did you get a chance to get out of the house this for your birthday?
No, I didn't. I didn't feel like doing too much of anything. I did work a little bit, but that was about it. So I just kind of relaxed, and it actually felt good to do nothing.
Yeah. Remember when you were like a kid? You're thinking, it's my birthday. I gotta have everybody over. And then at a certain age, you kind of go, I don't know, maybe stay at home tonight. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's how I am too. I'm at that place right now. My wife's birthday is actually this weekend too, so we're
awesome.
Very excited about that. And but we've got to celebrate the wife's birthday.
Of course.
Got to celebrate the wife's birthday, because if not, you might as well not even come home. Right? That's the truth, man. Yeah. You just might as well not even come home. Excuse me. So once again, I want to apologize if you hear something kind of weird nasally or microphone cuts out. We've got this kill switch on this microphone here, and I'm going to be using it a lot today. Just a lot today because there's this wicked virus going around, and it's been getting into everybody. So I want to encourage you, though, but if you're watching the show the first time, go ahead and write to us at christandcultureshow@gmail.com. It's christandcultureshow@gmail.com. And get in on the conversation. We would really love to hear from you. And I know a lot of people have been writing us because you've been going to Godstream TV, and you notice the website is having issues. And literally, there are gremlins all over the place. And so we're going to take care of that. We'll get the website back up again. And we're working hard, though. We're just working hard. It's just it's a tough space to be in. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the Middle East, though. And a lot of stuff has been going on in the Middle East. And especially with people who are maybe not as close to the fighting that's going on between Israel and Hamas, the Palestinians and the people in the Gaza Strip and stuff like that. And so some people have been looking at this. I saw a story on CNN 10. I don't know if you ever watched that. Do you, Pastor Tommy? You ever seen CNN 10? CNN 10 is basically a 10-minute clip that they have, and they try to get you as much information as they can on CNN. And as you can imagine, it's got a left-leaning bias to it. And so they were talking about the fighting in Gaza and how people have been killed and blah, 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 this kind of thing. And then they sneak in that Israel was attacked a couple of years ago by Hezbollah or Hamas. But there are still people who are looking at Israel as the bad guy in this whole thing, because Israel has the wherewithal and God's on their side, and they're winning this battle. Here's the story. Israel is weighing annexation of parts of the occupied West Bank in response to the announcement by several Western governments that they will formally recognize, get this, a Palestinian state at the United Nations General Assembly later this month. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened his security cabinet on August 31st to review options ranging from incorporating individual settlements to annexing as much as, get this, 60% of the territory. And this is big. I mean, it really is a very big thing here. The move comes as countries including France, the UK, Canada, Australia, join nearly 150 other worldwide that already recognize Palestinian statehood. Israel and the United States oppose the initiative and have sought to deter it through measures against the Palestinian Authority. The U.S. State Department said it will not issue visas to senior Palestinian officials planning to attend the session, a step that also bars Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas from traveling to New York. And so here's the deal. And so many of you have probably heard this already before, and maybe it's new to you, but the people in Palestine, quote unquote, or the Gaza Strip or in Gaza, attacked Israel in 2023. 1,200 people were killed, babies, women were raped, the whole thing. And as a result of that, Israel went back into Gaza and started saying, hey, you attacked us. And in addition to that, you've got like 250 hostages that you've been keeping underground. Well, the world is looking at this now, and they're saying, Israel, you're the bad guy in this whole thing. And even though the Palestinians want no part of Israel being even on the map, and most Muslims don't want Israel on the map, and so when they start talking about a two-state solution, that's not what the Palestinians want. That's not what they want at all. They want a one-state solution, and it doesn't include Israel. So, Pastor Tommy, can you weigh in on this, on what your reaction is to that these people are do you think this is a bold move by Israel? Is it warranted? Is it, or what should they do in this case?
I think it's a bold, warranted move by Israel. God gave that land to Israel thousands of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and as a result of 1948, um, Israel didn't have to, but they allowed the Palestinians to stay in certain parts, Gaza and the West Bank. And because they've been attacked by Palestine, and now the whole world is actually coming against Israel, Israel is saying, you know what? Maybe I'll just go ahead and take our land back because they're going to use it against us, and so that's why I think it's justified. It's a justified move because they gave them this land to appease them, to
Mm.
appease the world, and now here they want more. They want a whole state now, which is literally suicide for Israel if they go
Yeah.
with that. And so I this is the powder keg that's
Mm-hmm.
being stuffed and fused and about to be lit for that war that is mentioned in Revelation, I believe.
Yeah, I think you are so right that this is not. And many of us know this. Even if you have just a cursory knowledge of the Bible, you know that the Lord gave that land to Israel eons ago, and all of a sudden now these people are saying, "Oh no, you Israelis don't belong here. This, that you're occupiers, that you're colonizers." Excuse me. And I think the scary thing to me is that the French, the Brits, these other nations are going, yes, let's coexist, and they know the history of these two warring nations, So what are you seeing end time prophecy starting to line up here? I guess
Oh
is the next
yes,
question.
absolutely, for sure. There's a scripture in Matthew. I've been studying the kingdom, and just now I just thought about this. But Jesus tells a parable about the kingdom of heaven is like, and he goes on to say, a man plants a garden, and while men slept, an enemy came and planted tares among the wheat. And he begins to explain that parable, and that parable is, the good wheat is the people of God, and the bad wheat are the tares of the enemy that he sent. And at the end, they will pull out those in the kingdom. It specifically says in the kingdom of those things that offend. And I just think it is prophecy to see how all these things they're trying to put everything together, not realizing what they're actually doing. So when that end time comes, one will be taken, one will be left in the field. This is it. This is the priming of that, I believe.
Yeah, in our lifetime, this is the thing about in our lifetime, we're seeing prophecy being fulfilled. And I think, I mean, I don't. This is for some people. They're scared. They're very scared. They're going, oh my gosh, this things are starting to line up.
Yeah.
Russia, Gog, Magog, Tubal, Rush, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But then there are those of us that are going, wait a minute. These
Yes.
things are starting to line up right now.
Yep.
Get ready. This is going to be exciting. The
It
only
is
thing
exciting.
that, so what? What were you going to say?
No, this is so exciting, and in my excitement when I'm talking to people about this, I have to curb my excitement because they get so fearful. Well, I'm afraid. Well, if you're a believer, why are you afraid?
Sure.
We should be excited. We get to see our king. We get, pretty
Mm-hmm.
soon. But you're right.
Pretty soon.
People are afraid.
Soon and very soon, we're going
Yeah.
to see the Lord. I'll tell you, see the King. I'll tell you, I'm very
Yeah.
excited about this. And so, I'm sorry. Once again, I want to apologize to folks that are listening. You're just listening. You're hearing this, this coughing and stuff like that. But a lot of germs are flying around there. In the last decade, I would say we've probably seen more of a shifting of continents and a shifting of leadership that have led us to the place where we're at right now. And I know we're going to go off of topic here just a little bit, but remember just recently they were saying that the temple implements were all together. They were training all the priests and all this other stuff. And then they said they have the red heifers. And then within last week, though, they said, well, the red heifers that they had, those aren't going to be the ones. And so we're going, wait a minute, those aren't the red heifers we need? Well, but guys, guess what? The excitement that is in the air right now, where we're saying people are seeing things line up, I think that is probably as exciting as the fulfillment yet, because we get to actually see it, and I think does it build your faith? I know it builds my faith, knowing and seeing that these things are starting to line up.
Absolutely. I don't know if you saw the story regarding those red heifers.
Go for it.
Mm-hmm. So I saw a story recently, just a few days ago actually, and I saw the story of them saying, you know what, they found some hairs, these aren't the red heifers. But they're going to do a mock sacrifice anyway.
What?
After they did the mock sacrifice,
okay,
the supposedly mock sacrifice, because these red heifers had a couple of white hairs on them.
Yes.
It came out that those were perfect red heifers, and that fake sacrifice wasn't fake.
Oh, now say that again. So
I thought you were gonna say it, but yeah.
What?
So it was a real sacrifice.
It was a real sacrifice.
It was a real sacrifice.
Oh my gosh! So they were the reports were they pulling a fast one on everybody?
Yeah, they were, because they were coming under pressure not to do it, because they don't want the temple to be built, and so they said, "Okay, well, we'll figure this out."
We'll figure this out.
Typical Israeli way, right?
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it.
They actually sacrificed them.
So they made the sacrifice. Oh my gosh! So we missed something. I missed something there.
We missed it.
We missed it because I know they were talking about it, and this was literally in the last 2 weeks that they were talking about this, that those heifers weren't going to be the ones. And really everybody just said, okay, we're going to find some new red heifers. And literally they went and did it anyways.
They went and did it anyway.
So now that's a whole new show. That's a different show. We got it. This is going to be something. We'll have to come back. I'm going to write it down right now. Let's look at the red heifers. That's it. And what does that mean?
Yes.
Okay. This is good. All right. Got to write that down. Okay. We'll come back. That's probably more exciting than anything, because you know what? We are seeing so much lining up. It's a great day to be a believer. It really is.
Yes, it is. It really is.
Yeah, it is. Wow. So, folks, if you're watching this for the first time, I'm Pastor Sherman. This is Pastor Tommy. And this is Christ&Culture. And we're talking about some of the neatest things that are going on in the culture. And we encourage you that if you haven't given your life to the Lord, today is the day. Okay? You don't want to wait. You don't want to continue to wait. Okay? Because the Lord is coming soon, sooner than you think. And number two, you need to be able to see what's going on in the culture. You need to be aware of what's going on in the culture, and you can't do it if you don't have a regenerate spirit. You guys, if you don't have the Holy Spirit in you, it is going to be almost impossible for you to see what's going on in the culture. So we encourage you, okay, get saved, listen to the show, and let us know what you're thinking about what's going on. Pastor Tommy, there was a story. This was in Christianity Today, and I was kind of taken aback by this. I gotta admit, because it. And I'll read you the title, and maybe folks, you can help us, discern this whole thing. It says D.C. churches to Trump. Okay, now these are Washington D.C. churches to the President of the United States. It says, "Stay out of our parking lots." Black and mainline Protestant clergy in Washington are demanding that immigration officials stop using their church parking lots. And this is a quote from them. He says, "We want to remind those federal entities that the property of houses of worship is private and therefore should not be used without express permission from those worshiping entities." And the coalition wrote in a public letter signed by nearly 24 religious and community leaders, including some who work in the interfaith and social justice organizations. Immigration's arrests have spiked, and they talk about the president doing roundups, that kind of stuff. So, Pastor Tommy, it looks like you've got a couple of dozen churches who've come together as a coalition who are saying, look, we don't like the fact that you are using our parking lot as a staging area or whatever when you go on these raids, these ICE raids. Your thoughts on that? I just want to get your thoughts on this.
Well, they have a point that is private property. However, it's deeper than that for them. They're just taking political sides. They say they're presenting it as we don't want to be involved, but they have chose a side, which is why they wouldn't allow them to get on their parking lot. So I think it's them actually taking a stand more than anything, because they don't want to offend the community. That's just kind of what I personally think it is.
Yeah, I'm wondering, whose side are they on? Are they on the side of righteousness? Are they on the side of the culture that is trying? That's where I kind of. It's like I tend to be very hard on certain churches that do not take a stand on abortion. I get upset at churches when they don't take a stand on homosexuality. I take umbrage to churches that don't take a stand on education and the educational establishment, or our leaders when they do things wrong. They don't take a stand. They just don't say anything. But in this case, they're going, well, we don't like the fact that you are arresting people who are illegally here in our country. And now they take a stand. These are the same churches that won't take a stand against abortion. They won't take a stand against, this, that, or the other thing, and yet they'll take a stand against this. I'm wondering if these folks are and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the word. Are these folks being hypocrites?
Absolutely, because they're professing to be Christians, but then they're presenting the truth in unrighteousness. Talks about that in Romans chapter 1, and we see what happens at the end of Romans chapter 1. So
yeah,
that's just it.
I just, the word says, see these Pharisees. I did a devotional on this morning. It's just too funny how ironic this is. I was doing this it was Matthew chapter 23, and it was talking about, see these Pharisees. The Pharisees teach you guys the law, but they don't do the law. Okay, don't be like them. Okay, do as you say. Okay, basically walk the walk, talk the talk. Okay, if you're going to talk the talk, you need to walk the talk. Don't be like these Pharisees. And I'm looking at these churches now in these localities. They're going around, they're telling their people to tithe. They're telling their people to stand up and down, jump up and down, praise God, and stuff like that, attend church on Sundays. But then they talk about the culture, and if they see something wrong in the culture, they're going, well, we're siding with, let me say, who's oh, the wind's blowing. Okay, the wind's blowing. We're going to go with you guys.
Yeah.
And to me, that just sounds to me like that's I don't. That's wishy-washy. That's, they're neither hot nor cold. You know.
That's exactly what it is. A lot of these churches too, and I hate to point this out, but they have politicians come in and give their speech in their churches that are not Christ-like. And so, because they feel like they're going to get some money or get some political clout or something like that, this is why they give in to these things. And I feel sorry for people who are not aware of these things because they're being led down the wrong path and they're being deceived.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. I know people, excuse me, here in Las Vegas. And there's certain churches, there are really large churches in the black community. Excuse me. Pardon me, folks. And the entire family of one political party goes to a particular church. Mm-hmm. And you got to understand, folks, in the black community here and I don't think we're atypical. I think it's probably happening throughout the nation. Tend to be a very tight-knit community in the black community, the black churches. And so when a family goes to a church, it's because it's been there generationally. It's a generational type. Mm-hmm. And it's no different than any other church. It's just but in the black church, it's different. Politically speaking, though, the pastor goes, nope, that we will never say anything bad about these folks because they go to our church. Because they actually do have they have an inside track, like you were saying, Pastor Sherman. We have an inside track to the wheels that of power in the city. But unfortunately, those wheels are corrupt. Those wheels are tainted. And if they are supporting abortion, on demand, if they're supporting welfare, and keeping people in bondage, that kind of thing, they're wrong. And so I take exception to that. I really do. And so when I see this, and I'm going, when this story says that it's a couple of dozen churches, I can almost guarantee you I know exactly who these churches are.
You already know. You don't have to guess. And it's in every, large city. I've seen it. I've traveled around, and you just see it.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's just the kind of thing. And we really need to, I think as we get closer and closer to the Lord's return, you're going to see more and more heat applied to these churches. I just see it happening, and I'm hoping the Lord kind of sifts them, and He sifts us too, and He
Yep.
kind of gives us a heart massage that we actually need. This next story is about this one's actually out of the New York Post, and you probably saw this. There's a guy. His name is Iman Khalif, or Iman Khalif. And a couple of years ago, he was in the Olympics, and this guy's raised eyebrows for pretty obvious reasons. Iman Khalif is a male who identifies as a female and has been and fought in the Olympics, and not only won, but he had people conceding. And so here's the deal about it: is people now you have. In those days, in those last few years during that Olympic period, you had the Biden administration in, you had the woke movement, you had all kinds of and people let him in. Him and another guy were in the Olympics. And like I said, they drew the ire of women and people opposing it, but not to the point where they would stop. So now you fast forward to 2025 now. The Trump administration's in. They're saying we're done with the whole woke movement. And so this guy, they're saying, okay, in the Olympics, they're not going to allow this guy in there. So here's the headline. It says, Olympic champion Iman Khalif appeals world boxing a genetic sex test ruling. And basically what they said is if you want to be a fight in the women's category, you got to take a test. And this is out of Lucerne, Switzerland. Olympic champion Iman Khalif has appealed against a world boxing decision barring her, it says, from upcoming events. They should have said him. Barring him from upcoming events unless he undergoes genetic sex testing. The Court of Arbitration, or the CAS for sports, said on Monday that the Algerian boxer filed the appeal last month. Khalif was bidding to compete in the World Boxing Championship, which starts on Thursday. But the CAS added that on Monday it dismissed a request to suspend the world boxing champion, the decision until the case was heard. So, do you think they're being hard on this Imam Khalif, or should they just let him go in there and beat up more women? Do you think, Pastor?
No, they're not being hard. Yeah, I mean, if we have people, slick enough to try and pass as a female, just to beat up on them, just because they can't win against a male, then they need to be tested.
Yeah. So here's the deal on this, Pastor. They've got a picture. I don't know if you saw the picture of him. He's beating the snot out of some Chinese lady or Korean or whatever. Whoever she is, her eyes are so tight, she could be Chinese or Korean. I don't know. Because she looks upset that this man is beating her up. In the old days, you know what they would do if a man beat up a woman like this? Put him in jail.
Yep.
There's laws against this.
Yep.
There was one lady that fought against him in 2023. And she got hit by him, and within 45 seconds, she said, "Nope, I'm done. I've never been hit this hard by any woman. This is obviously a male hitting me." And she said, "No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get beat up by a guy." Does this even remotely remind you of something from Scripture or something that maybe you were taught as a young boy, that these days would come when you would see wrong being said that it's right and right? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we're here. We're here. Up is down, down is up, right is left, left is wrong is right, and it's okay. Any way you want to do it is okay, which is crazy. They think that no rules is good.
Yeah.
And this is what I had a lady come to me one time. She says, "Don't you think we have too many rules? We set too many boundaries?" I said, "Let me ask you a question. Let's say you lived on a busy street, right? And because you don't have any rules, you don't teach your kids respect for cars, and there's no fence in your yard, in your front yard, and you just let your kids run out there and play. How safe do you think your kids would be? Because you've never set any boundaries. You never told them that they can't go past the curb. You never told them to watch out for speeding cars. How safe would that kid be?"
Yeah.
And they go, "Well, it wouldn't be safe at all." I said, "See, boundaries create safety for people."
They do. And yeah, I don't know if if we look back on this, let's say the Lord doesn't come back for another 30, 40 years. We're going to look back on these days and we're going to go, what were we thinking? What did we actually do that we, as a society, allowed our young women to be subjected to this kind of humiliation, not just and danger, because we're endangering their lives.
Yes.
Right now they've got the, and I saw this. There's I forgot her name's Riley Gaines. So Riley Gaines is a swimmer, Olympic swimmer, and she brought a suit, not a suit, but she brought a question, or maybe it was a suit. She brought a suit up against the governing body for the Olympics, and basically said that these folks were endangering her life and humiliating her, because she and the other girls had to change in front of the guys in the women's locker room. And this has been going on for a couple of years now. And so there's this woman comes on and she starts giving Riley Gaines the riot act, calling her ugly and calling her all this other stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, lady, do you realize what you're trying to defend here? You're trying to defend a man bare naked in a woman's locker room. Would you want your daughter being subjected to this? I don't know. You've got daughters. I've got daughters. Okay? I would. Oh, no. Absolutely not. I don't even want guys looking at my kids, right? Much less standing there in their their manliness and saying, hey, you know what, let's go swimming, right? But we're going to look back on this and we're going to say, I cannot believe we allowed this to happen, to our women. Am I wrong on this?
I hope that's the case. I hope we can look back and realize we messed up, but not everybody is going to have that realization.
This is craziness.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is craziness. I just can't imagine that we're living in a time where this level of stupidity, and so here's another one too. Then they take some of these prisoners. So they got the guys in the immigrants that they're starting to jail, and they're saying, okay, you're in jail now because you're an illegal immigrant, you're an illegal alien, or an MS-13 member. And guess what these MS-13 members are doing now? They're saying, I identify as a woman, put me in the women's prison. And guess what they're doing? They're literally considering it.
Wow.
If not already. And I'm thinking to myself, what part of Looneyville did you guys wake up on? What planet did I drop in on where you can look at a man with a mustache and a beard, and just because he says my name is, Lucretia, that you let him in when his name yesterday was Louis?
They're gonna have to start a maternity ward in their place and a daycare and all kinds of stuff, because you know what's gonna happen.
This is craziness. I just think that we're just living in a crazy place. For those of you you're just watching us, you just jumped in on this this broadcast. I'm Pastor Sherman. This is Pastor Tommy, and this is Christ and Culture. And we come to you every week, and we talk about some of the things that are going on in our society. And sometimes we all sit there and scratch our heads together, and we go, "I cannot believe this." And we look at what Christ is doing in the culture, and we hope that you are able to get in this. We encourage you to go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, download the podcast. Go ahead and get downloaded. Replay it to your friends, have a discussion, even have a discussion group on what we're talking about. I encourage you to do that, and see if you come to the same conclusions that we come to, or maybe you're coming to something different. And then write to us at christandcultureshow@gmail.com. It's christandcultureshow@gmail.com, and we just encourage you. This is we're living in perilous times, folks. Pastor Tommy, there was a story about this one's an AP story, and it's talking about 1.2 million immigrants are gone from the U.S. labor force under the Trump administration. This is preliminary data, of course, and it says that. And they start with this story talking about this lady by the name of Lydia, and she's harvesting tomatoes, and she's worried, and the people who are out there in the fields are worried that immigration is going to come and get them. Because they're here illegally. Some of them are here illegally, and some of them are not. But here's the deal. Should people worry? Is this going to be, because the old adage is this, that these illegals that are here and that have come here in the last 4 years, that they're doing the work that Americans won't do, that they're doing the work that good old-fashioned American, would do if we could, but we don't do it because we don't want to, and so we need these immigrants. They say immigrants make up almost 20% of the U.S. workforce, and that data shows 45% workers in farming, fishing, forestry are immigrants, according to Pew senior researcher, and about 30% of all construction workers are immigrants. And 24% of service workers are immigrants also. Okay, so Pastor Tommy, what does that data tell you about the U.S. market of workers?
It tells a lot. They use the word immigrants, but they didn't use the word illegal. So out of those immigrants, we don't know how many were legal versus how many are illegal. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
California said something once. What's her name? The mayor of L.A., Karen Bass. Karen Bass says, you know what? We have whole sectors that if you take our illegals away, it's gonna crumble. And you know what that tells me? You're doing things illegally. You probably should hire you. That's your fault. You know.
Yep.
I can't believe that you would say that you would actually say that out loud, that we have been breaking the law of the United States of America, and we've built an industry on slavery, on slave labor.
Yep. Yep.
And you said it out loud, and we're supposed to go, well, we feel sorry for you. And if we don't keep the slave labor in America, that we're going to lose our tomato crops. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it, folks.
Yeah, I don't either. Yep.
Yeah. We've had a relationship with and you lived you probably could speak to this more than I could, that we've had a relationship with the folks in California for years, in Mexico, I should say. We've had a relationship with them for years. And that relationship, though it's not perfect, it has worked to help the farmers out here in America, and it's worked to help generations of people in Mexico who otherwise wouldn't have a job at all. But they're not slaves, hopefully.
Right.
I should say. This crop of folks that are coming in now, though, are totally different. These folks were not. These aren't your granddaddy's farmers, right?
Right.
Right. These folks did not come here to farm. These folks came here to take whatever job they could take, and this is very interesting. I want to bring something up to you, Pastor Tommy. I know I talk a lot so much on this, but this was very interesting. I use Chat GPT, and we talked about this before. It's about its ups and its downs and warning signs, that kind of stuff. And I asked Chat GPT about the Trump administration and his policies on helping the black community, that kind of stuff. And I gave it specific details that I wanted it to analyze about the immigration, the closing the border, that kind of stuff, and did it benefit black community or not? And ChatGPT gave me some very interesting analysis on it, and it took it a long time. I want to tell you this: it took it a long time to come up with this analysis, which means it was thinking and it was looking through as much data as it could to justify its answers that it was going to give to me. Okay, not just right or wrong, but to justify its answers. And so it basically said that, yes, the Trump administration has stopped this and stopped this and stopped this, but people think this, and people think that, and people think this. And I go, well, that might be I told ChatGPT, I said, I disagree with you. On the subject, and there were three subjects. One was on the closing the border. The other one was on illegal immigration, and I forgot what the third one was. But I said we're talking about a worldview now. A Christian worldview is either it is right or it's wrong. Okay, it's not whether or not you like it or not. Oh, it was crime. It was on crime in Washington D.C. Because according to ChatGPT, people don't like the federal government coming in and stopping crime. Okay? I said, but is it right or is it wrong? And and I said, from a Christian worldview, it is correct for there to be justice. And then all of a sudden, ChatGPT, once I told it about the worldview, it turned a whole 180. And it says, Pastor Sherman, you are right. It doesn't matter whether the people are upset about it or not. If he stopped crime, that is a plus, and that's cut and dry. If he closed the border, and because illegal people were coming here, that is a positive thing. It doesn't matter whether people are upset about it or not. Okay? And if he stopped abortion, it doesn't matter whether women call it care or whatever it is. You're saving a baby's life, and that is a plus. So I want your thoughts on that, I guess, about the use of ChatGPT, worldview, and that kind of thing.
You know, I'm a little anti AI,
Mm-hmm.
only because I have had an experience with God. Last year, I
Mm-hmm.
was sick for a whole month. Um, and during that time, I spent a lot of time with God. Just he actually came to visit me. It's like he came to visit me while I was sick. It was I've never experienced this before, but on several occasions, he came to me and said, "I want you to warn people about AI," and I hadn't. I've told a few people to be careful and just kind of soften the blow. But he literally showed me that there is a spirit behind AI and it's not God's spirit. Um, so, with that being said, while you were talking and I saw the transition of the answer, it made me wonder how many news stations are actually tapping into chat gpt to get their stories and then just regurgitating what that is. And what that does, it probably solidifies the viewpoint that chat gpt already has. And so when it goes back into to do a research on that same topic or list of questions, it pulls up the same thing, and it kind of grows from there. So that's interesting. But I just thought about that. I wonder how many people who are actually using it for news, and there's statistics.
Oh, I think you've hit on something. You really do, because I think they say the saying is garbage in, garbage out, right?
Mm.
We talked about this a few weeks ago that there's a guy who runs one of these research Genesis back to Genesis type research places that it spoke to one of these AI information portals, and based upon using a series of questions, it did it twice too. It basically got the AI to admit that the only way that man got here was because of God. And the next one was that it agreed that the flood had to have happened here on Earth. Okay, it had to have happened because of the evidence. But if you just ask it as if you just ask Grok or you just ask Chat GPT off the top of your head, hey, give me the answer to this, it's going to give you a worldview answer that is a liberal worldview.
Yes.
And there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And you actually have to remind it. And I did. I said, look, you're wrong. I said, you are wrong. I said, this is not a rhetorical question, a thing back and forth. This is not a debate. You're wrong on this because you're looking at it from a worldview of a liberal worldview. And then when I said, from a Christian worldview, this is correct. And it says, Pastor, you are correct. You are right. I don't think it has any, I don't think it cares. I don't think it cares. I think it's going to, the fallback position to it is liberal.
Yeah.
But it's just as happy to give you your answer too, because it doesn't mean anything to it at all. It has no moral compass.
Right.
It has a liberal bias. It has no moral compass.
Right.
Maybe that's so. Yes, it's very interesting. But I thought I'd bring that up because it drove me crazy to see something like that. And, gosh,
Very interesting.
yeah. I think we've got enough time for just a couple more questions, or a couple more. You probably saw this in Washington, D.C. The president went into Washington, D.C. Over the last week or so and has been working with the mayor on cleaning up Washington, D.C. And it looks now as though he's probably going to go into Chicago, too. But let's deal with Washington, D.C. before we do that. It says President Donald Trump praised Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser for cooperating with his administration amid a deployment of National Guard troops to the city to help combat crime. Her statements and actions were positive instead of like others, like Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Maryland Governor Wes Moore, and California Governor Gavin Newsom. And the 5% approval rated mayor of Chicago, this guy's an idiot also. I shouldn't say idiot, he's just not a very smart guy, who spends all his time trying to justify violent crime instead of working with us to completely eliminate it. So your thoughts on the complete 180 of crime in Chicago, or excuse me, in Washington D.C., and now the prospect of the president bringing the Stop Crime Roadshow to Chicago.
Yeah, what was interesting about D.C. is that the mayor did not want him to send in the help, but she saw what it did, and she jumped on board, right? And she saw what took place, and so now you got a situation in um, Chicago where the mayor says we're not helping you, and you know Chicago needs lots of help. Chicago is what is it? 50 people got shot over the weekend. 50 people got shot over the weekend. That is bizarre. That's crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
the mayor says, okay, I'm not going to do this. But in the meantime, we had a judge come out and say that they don't need it was illegal for President Trump to send the National Guard to LA, Los Angeles. So now we're in a quandrum. But he said that they can stay there, which doesn't make sense to me. If it's illegal, pull them out, right? But they can stay there. So I'm like, what is going on here? Somebody's playing games, but Chicago needs a lot of help.
A lot of help, and they do. And I would think that the people, if you ask the people, I always think that the people are generally very smart. The leaders are not so much smart, but the people. You go ask mom and pop who are living in the west side or the south side of Chicago, right, where Leroy Brown lives at. You know where I mean. Okay? Bad Leroy Brown. We all know he lives there in the south side of Chicago, right? So you go in there, you ask them, do we need the police here? And they will say, yes. Bring as many people, as many guns as you got, clean up. I would say they said the same thing in Detroit. They would say the same thing in Baltimore. They would say any of these major. I would think that that they would say to these politicians, "You're fired." How can you, with a straight face, say we don't need you when it's pretty obvious we do?
Yeah, it's crazy. There's interviews all over the internet of people being interviewed. Do you want the police here? Yes. Send more. Because people are dying. 50 people over a weekend. That is, I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and and when I keep seeing this, and the guy, his name is Brandon, I think it is. I forgot the guy's name, the Chicago guy, the mayor, but he gets these people together. No, we don't want the federal troops coming in. No, we don't want. And I'm going, how did you find these people? What eggheads did you find that literally would stand up there and go, no, we don't want safety. No, we. Is that what it is? They're just feeding them. He's paying them, and I'm thinking to myself, my gosh. So here's the deal with these crazy folks that are here, is that it's fine for them because the people are not knocking down their door. The gangs are not there. They're not at their 50-story tenement building where they're shooting up, and the drugs aren't all over. They're not there raping and looting and pillaging at the mayor's house or wherever these people are at, these protesters, because I can't imagine that these people go home at night and go, yeah, we're afraid to walk the streets at night also. Or J.B. Pritzker's house. J.B. Pritzker doesn't live nowhere near Chicago, and he's going, oh, we don't need that. You don't need that. When are the people of Chicago going to get up in arms and go, yes, we do. We need the help. because I can't imagine them. It's not that good in Chicago. Or do they dislike it? Maybe they dislike it.
No, they don't like it. I saw a video, I think yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
of one of those shootings. It was at a kids' football game,
Okay.
and the referee or the one of the officials was recording. Man, they're shooting. I'm here laying on the ground. I'm shooting right. They're shooting right now. People are running. People are getting on the ground. And he made a joke, which was funny, but it was very sad. He says, "I should just throw a flag right now," just because it was a football game. But
Just
he
to throw a
goes,
flag. Yeah.
"Yeah." He's like, "You know what? Flag. That's a penalty. 15 yard. Whatever." But he said something that really just kind of stuck me in the spirit. He
Mm.
says, "We can't have any fun here in Chicago,"
Mm-hmm.
and he meant it. He says, "When are these people going to wake up?"
Yeah. Yeah. When are they going to wake up?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think he meant by that?
I think he's tired of it. He's tired, just like other people. He meant when is the leaders gonna when are the leaders gonna wake up
Mm-hmm.
to what's really going on? We need help. That was his cry for help. We need help.
Yeah.
He's saying we can't have a football game.
Yeah. Isn't that sad? That's the sad thing about this is,
Uh,
for the sake of politics, you've got these leaders who are saying we'd rather see our people hurt, destitute, maybe even in danger,
mhm.
more than we would want to see the other political party have any success.
That's all it is.
And that's really what it is. And isn't that really kind of what the Bible said was going to happen?
Mhm.
The Bible says, guess what? You're going to bring these leaders, and they're not. If they don't have the Spirit of God in them, if they don't have, this mooring, right? This spiritual mooring that will keep them, on the right side of issues, they're going to be very selfish, and they
Yep.
care less what happens to you. All they care about is how many horses and chariots that they're going to be able to put, in their stables. They're only going to worry about how many vineyards they have, right?
Mhm.
Because they care less about you. And unfortunately, the people have gotten to the point. But see, I can understand that. I can understand a leader being so corrupt that he didn't care less about anybody else. My problem is, Pastor Tommy, what about the people? Why don't the people say something? Hey, wait a minute, we're tired of being
Yeah.
stomped on. What excuse do the people have?
Yeah, they need to come together and do it with one voice. Videos are good. It kind of gives us an idea of what's happening in their world, but they need to all come together
Mm-hmm.
and do something. There's a
Yeah.
few town halls that I've seen
Mm-hmm.
where they're standing up and you know directly face to face to the mayor and saying you're wrong. You're wrong for doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But it needs to be more to step up and just say, what, we're done.
Yeah, yeah, and we hope it does. We hope it happens sooner than later, and we hope shows like this will actually shine a light on that, because there's really no reason why, here in the greatest nation ever created, that people should have to live that way. It shouldn't happen in this nation. I can understand it happening in a third world country. I really can, but not here in America. This is the land that God blessed, and yet we have leaders that are just evil. I mean, just evil. That's all there is. I don't know what better way to put it. Anyways, Pastor Tommy, it is so good seeing you again. It really is. It's
Yes.
good talking to you again. And we're gonna have to get together. I know we got to get our schedules together here in the next couple of weeks, but we definitely got to get together because I love this brother. Love you, love you, love you. Okay.
Me too.
All right. We will talk to you later. Okay.
All right. God bless.
God bless you too. We'll see you later. And thank you, folks, for being a part of the broadcast. I hope that you're able to once again get the download of this, guys. Go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts. You can get the download of this broadcast, and share it with your friends. Really share it as far and wide as you possibly can with all your friends. Okay. Anyways, this has been Pastor Sherman Ray for Christ and Culture. We will see you again next week for more Christ and Culture show, folks. Have a wonderful day in the Lord, and we love you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.